And the biggest news just dropping, I think about an hour ago, the court has cleared distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio as candidate. I'd like to read to you that one as fast as possible before I bring my guest today. Well, the Honorable Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court 8 in Abuja Vacation Court on Thursday, that's today, declared former Minister of the Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, the authentic candidate of the All Progressives Congress APC for Akwa Ibom Northwest Senatorial District. That news broke about an hour ago. It also ordered the electoral umpire to immediately publish the names and particulars of Senator Akpabio as the authentic candidate of the APC for Ikot-Ekpene Senatorial District, saying Inec lacked the power. Now, take note of this. Lacked the power to disqualify Akpabio, having emerged from a validly, that's the contention there, validly held primary of his party. Delivering a landmark judgment, Justice Nwite noted that the defendant couldn't have picked nor chosen for the plaintiff whose name should be or shouldn't be published. The court also held that Independent National Electoral Commission, Inec, can't legitimize an illegal enterprise, noting that the APC was in full compliance and has its candidate of Akwa Ibom North Senatorial District. Now, according to Justice Nwite, said here, and I quote, Inec should not create a new criteria for qualification of candidates and cannot unilaterally pronounce an election invalid. It is for the court to do so and not Inec. No law empowers Inec to reject a candidate nominated by a political party. Inec isn't an aspirant. End of quote. Inec isn't the National Working Committee of the party. Now, the court also declared that the decision not to monitor a valid primary election held on June 9th, 2022 is unlawful, and the plaintiff has never been disqualified by a court. Inec therefore lacks the power to disqualify Akpabio. So that is the landmark ruling that we got about an hour ago. So as it stands right now, congratulations, we must say, to our distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio. Well, that's just the beginning of the entire hurdle. We'll talk about that and every other thing. But join me this afternoon as we talk about 2023, the journey to 2023, and of course, political party campaigns. Discussing this with me is a public affairs analyst, a journalist of repute, and of course, somebody with in-depth knowledge of happenings in the political space. He is the chairman of the Civil Liberties Organization, Akwa Ibom State Branch, Otwekon Franklin Isong. Good afternoon to you, sir, and welcome.
Good afternoon. Good to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. You too.
Yes, we began the program by, of course, updating our viewer with that landmark ruling there from the court. As somebody who has been apolitical, I have had conversations with you several times on how this entire matter started, from how the resident electoral commissioner in Akwa Ibom State, the one that is gone, talking about Barrister Mike Guinea, had said several times that Akpabio is not a candidate and that that particular primary that produced him is not recognized by Inec. Here we have a court, you know, laying bare the facts, as they say, ipsa loquita, right? Let's take it from there.
I remember when this matter started, I was interviewed by you, and I said clearly that INEC is not the court of law. INEC cannot throw its hat into the ring and become a contestant. INEC is supposed to be neutral, and the constitution is very clear that we are operating a political party democracy. And so it is the parties that will submit their names of the candidates that they want to sponsor on any election to INEC. INEC's duty is to accept the names. Of course, the Electoral Act that INEC is now using,
as amended.
that INEC is now using as a guideline, has also provided, the role that INEC will play in order to ensure internal democracy in these political parties, like a kind of a check. And one of the rules is that before the party will produce a candidate, INEC may have to monitor the primaries. And so the party will have to write to INEC, giving INEC the date, the time, and the venue that the primaries will take place.
Held.
And INEC will have to send someone to monitor that primaries and then take note. Now, in the case of Akwa Ibom State, we were having factions where you have two factions, two state secretariats, one at the Akpabio Street, one at Ikolekpene Road. You have the Stephen Tuwekbu, chairman. As the chairman, you have Austin Ekanem. And then you had this crisis. You had Senator Akpabio, leading one camp, the camp of the Stephen Leo Tuwekbu. You have the former secretary of the party, Senator
who is now a member of the NNPP,
leading the other faction of the Austin Ekanem. So you had these issues. And because Senator Udoyedege was the party national secretary, he had that overbearing influence on the party structure at the state. And so he, like what happened, he was able to, influence and give out the forms to all the members of those that he wants to become the party leaders at the state level. And so that is what happened. So you had the Austin Ekanem group being together with Udoyedege and all other party executives. And then you had this other faction. So, but what happened was that after the primaries, the Stephen Tuwekbu went to court to challenge the Austin Ekanem who allegedly emerged in the primaries. Now, the question that was asked was that all those who contested the primaries, the Congress now, the Congress of the party to become the party state chairman and the other offices, all those who were loyal to Senator Udoyedege, their nomination forms, the money that they used to buy the form, their forms, was like they had just one receipt. Like one person just purchased the form wholesale for every other person. Yeah. So each of these persons did not individually purchase the form on their own. So even the court, the High Court, even had to lash on Senator Udoyedege, saying that he abused his office as the party national secretary, who was the custodian of the party's property and document and all those. So with that, the court had to now declare the Stephen Leon Tuwekbu as the state chairman, that he won the primaries. Now, the other faction now, led by the Udoyedege, now went to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal now ordered that there should be status quo ante be maintained. Status quo
to the position ante it was
before you
came to court.
To court. You have when the court makes an order, you should look at it. The court orders status quo ante. The court can also order status quo ante bellum. Court can also order status quo. There are 3 Latin words that you must understand, and each of these words has its own legal meaning. Status quo is as you are, remain. Status quo ante is before you come. What was the existence? Status quo ante bellum is go back to where you were before the crisis. So when the court ordered that status quo be maintained, status quo ante be maintained, it therefore means that before you come to the court, at the order of the Federal High Court that had already installed or declared Stephen Tuwekbu as the winner was the status quo ante. Now, so when the appeal court ordered that status quo ante be maintained, it simply says revise to that particular position that you came to me now. Now coming from the Federal High Court to the appeal court, you are challenging the other camp. The appellant is now challenging the Federal High Court decision to declare Stephen Leon Tuwekbu as the state chairman.
Yes.
And so the appeal court is saying, why you have challenged that, now you must obey the court's position that Stephen Leon Tuwekbu is the chairman until we are able to determine your appeal. Now, when the appeal is running, there is now primaries to elect party candidates.
Yes.
The Stephen Leo Tuwekbu faction that is now, in the eyes of the law, that is now the party leadership.
And also recognized by the APC.
APC now. No, because APC also has to recognize him.
Affirmed him.
Because the APC was joined in the suit. APC withdrew from the matter at the High Court level. Remember that Senator Udoedege, who was the APC secretary, was joined in the suit. But because
at that time he was no longer holding that position.
So when they went to appeal court, the party now under Adamu now had to withdraw from the matter, that the party is okay with the court position that Stephen Ntugbu is the state chairman. The party even had to swear in the Stephen Ntugbu at the party secretariat. Now the party began to communicate with the Stephen Ntugbu's faction. So that is going on. The appeal court case is also running. Now you have now had primaries going on. At the state level, you had Barrister Mike Igene, who was the Inec reg, who said that he monitored the APC.
The other faction.
He monitored the APC Congress to produce the state chairman and state leadership. That in the Congress, that Stephen Ntugbu did not win. That it was Oscar that
was according
won
to him.
His own position. That it was Oscar that won. That now that Stephen Ntugbu had to use allegedly altered document to present before the High Court in order to get that judgment that he got.
He even said
that
the numbers were manipulated.
That was what Igene, the then reg, was saying, that as far as he is concerned, that he recognized the Oscar because he won, and that the police report and the DSS report favored Oscar. So now we move on to the issue of the primaries. Materials were sent from Abuja head office of the APC to the state. Now, who is the state chairman to receive the material became a crisis, became an issue. When the national
delegation
came from Abuja, there was a confusion as to which faction should receive them. The Oscar team and the Stephen Ntugbu team. So that crisis led to a logjam that even caused the traffic along the airport road axis.
There's a traffic light.
The traffic light, yeah.
Off Udodoma.
That now led to a standstill for several hours before the DSS and the police had to intervene. And then they had to take the men, they moved the materials and everything to DSS office for safe keep. So at that point, the Inec reg, Mike Igene, announced that the election is postponed. You get just on the
following the story.
That the election is postponed. That till the next day, because it was already going towards midnight. Now the other faction of the Stephen Ntugbu were already getting the delegate ready for the primaries.
And even the contestants.
They were already at the other office led by the Stephen Ntugbu faction. They are all there.
That was at
Akpabio Street. Whilst in the Inec office, in the DSS headquarters, the Inec reg had announced that the election cannot hold, that anybody should go home. Question is, who should postpone the party congress?
A party
congress.
Congress.
Should it be the
party
INEC
affairs?
Reg? I'm just asking this now.
Yes.
You look at all these issues. Should it have been the INEC reg?
Or the party executive?
That this congress cannot hold. Therefore, it is postponed. No matter what had happened, I think it is not the duty of the INEC reg to announce that election has been postponed.
Because it's strictly party affairs.
That is it. And you are only supposed to monitor the entire exercise. Now, the Abuja, mind you, APC is one, which is Abuja office. INEC is one, which is Abuja office. So the INEC, the APC in Abuja headquarters deals with the APC in Abuja. Communicate. The communication is between the INEC and the APC in Abuja, informing the APC, the INEC office in Abuja that there will be primaries. Venue is stated clearly, and who is going to lead the team is listed on the letter that the APC Abuja sent to the INEC reg, sent to the INEC in Abuja. Then the INEC in Abuja should communicate same to the INEC in the state that this is what is going to happen. You are to go to so event
to monitor.
In line with this to monitor. So these are the conversations that I think ought to have transpired between the INEC in Abuja, the APC in Abuja, and the INEC in Abuja, and the INEC in Abuja told the INEC in the state. Now, while the INEC reg remained in the DSS office, the other faction, led by Stephen Tuekbu, that the party in Abuja had recognized, sent letter to. A copy of letter that was sent to the INEC in Abuja was copied to the INEC, to the Stephen Tuekbu faction in the state. Now, while the INEC reg and the other faction of Osnekanem were at the INEC office, at the DSS office with the material, with the team that came, the other people were at the party office preparing themselves. So when the INEC reg declared that the election cannot hold, those who were loyal to the other faction, they all left. Then the team that came from Abuja had to now move to
the DSS.
No, had to now move to
the team. Yes,
the team that came from Abuja with the material now.
So they had to now move the venue.
To the venue of the event, which is at Akpabio, led by Stephen Tuekbu, and then primaries took place. Now that took place produced somebody. The matter is now in court. It produced somebody that emerged, and there is no contest from any other camp that you had primaries to produce governorship candidates. Somebody emerged in the person of I think
Obonga
Udofia emerged in that primaries. Senator Itainan had gone to court to say that he cannot stand and challenge the outcome of it.
He had even done a video that there was no primaries.
There were no primaries.
Yeah.
Now,
which he participated in. And videos evidence abound that he was there.
Now, on the issue of the senatorial primaries, the same crisis throw up. You had Akpabio, who was in
retired
the
DIG.
camp, the retired DIG, who is in the camp of the former Senator Udo Edege, who was the national secretary of the APC, and in the camp of Osnekanem, had the primaries that he emerged. And then you also had a primary that produced someone that is also loyal to Senator Akpabio. You understand me now? Now, while that was going on, Akpabio had bought a form to contest for the presidential contest. Now he had gone and he had stepped down for the presidential contest for Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu. In the state level, the man that emerged in the Leon Tuekbu's camp for senatorial candidate in his own senatorial district now stepped down for him. The party now had to notify INEC that there will be a rerun to re-elect someone else that would represent, because this man has withdrawn. Don't forget that the only way you can change somebody is somebody has to either the person withdraws based on the Electoral Act 2022. The person withdraws voluntarily in writing, or the person dies. Or there is a consensus that the person agrees that he is pulling out. So now in this case, this man had withdrawn. That is not contesting again, withdrawing for Senator Akpabio, and then there was a rerun that the party now, under Stephen Tuekbu, notified the party in the headquarters, notified the INEC that there will be a rerun. A date was given. INEC did not monitor it. So INEC was still saying that the Akpabio faction, Akpabio is the one that will stand. That because in the eyes of the INEC in the state, that Akpabio
led by Igini
that led that Akpabio is the one that is validly elected by the party. So whilst the party headquarters and the party in the states led by Stephen Tuekbu had a rerun that produced Senator Akpabio. Now the names by the party was sent to INEC. INEC now refused to publish the name. That instead INEC will rely on the state rec. I use the word INEC guidedly because INEC is only one office in Abuja. We don't have INEC in this. INEC in the state are only representing the INEC in the headquarters. Now, the INEC in Abuja refused to publish the name of Senator Akpabio, hanging on the report of the rec that no primaries took place to produce Senator Akpabio, that he is aware that one cannot get form for 2 constituencies. He even said that some persons will be jailed for contesting in 2 constituencies, which raised uproar until I think Festus Okoye had to clarify that issue. and say that simply means that for you to mention two constituencies, it means that it is not in the party primaries cases now. It is about the INEC form that will be given. If INEC is given a form to someone like now, INEC will be given form to Senator Akpabio to fill for senatorial context. And Akpabio will also go again and pick another form for House of Assembly from INEC, not from the party. That is where there is that issue. So that is where one can be jailed for contesting in two constituencies. That is to say the person has picked form from INEC, not from the party, as it were. Because as it were, Akpabio had picked form for presidential contest in APC.
As an
aspirant for APC. Now, and after which he withdrew and picked another form for senatorial contest. This is within internal party arrangement. A family party is like a family business, family affairs, which nobody that is not a member of the family can intervene. But INEC insisted that Akpabio had breached the law and that it cannot be recognized, even when the name was sent to INEC. So this issue had been lingering on, and Akpabio had gone to court to challenge the action of INEC, because INEC did not publish the name of Senator Akpabio on the list that was published as one who was standing for the election. So now the court is now simply holding what I have been saying, that we are operating a political party democracy. It is not the duty of INEC to choose a candidate for a party. INEC will not decide who should stand for which election. In the case where there is a conflict, in the case of like the Akwa Ibom's case, INEC should look at which faction that the national headquarters recognize. Because INEC should work with the headquarters of the party. So you don't have parties in the state. You don't have APC state. No. You have APC is one office, which is in Abuja. So, but the INEC in the state refused to work with the INEC, with the APC in Abuja,
which is a national.
That is working with the Stephen Twekbu's faction, which is why you have this confusion. Because if the INEC in Abuja and the state had worked with the APC in Abuja, this confusion wouldn't have arisen in the first instance. It is now the question would have been for the other party to go to the other group to now go to court to challenge the action of the party.
Obviously, the resident electoral commissioner, the outgone resident electoral commissioner, Barrister Mike Igini, to a huge extent, he had misled a lot of people with some of his utterances. You know that he was very, very prominent. He was visibly everywhere on radio, on television, and even across newspapers and all of that. He had arrogated to himself a lot of powers, saying he does not recognize, not INEC not recognizing. But we needed to mention this because this is the latest development. And as we said, congratulations to Senator Akpabio. That's just one step of the hurdle.
Yeah, one step, because I know INEC may have to appeal. But the truth is, I think it is not the way I see it. INEC has made it look like it is Akpabio versus INEC, which ought not to be the case here. Senator Akpabio ought not to have sued INEC if INEC did not become an interested party. It would have been the other candidate in the APC that is aggrieved would have been challenging the party's decision. Now it would have been an internal party issue. But the way it stands now, it's like it is Akpabio versus INEC, which ought not to be the case here. Because the issue of who becomes a candidate of a party is about the party giving INEC the name of who they want to sponsor. INEC cannot just impose someone on the party, which is what the law is saying. So if you look at the court judgment, it is very clear that INEC is not an aspirant in this contest.
Its duty was just simply to monitor.
You are just supposed to monitor and accept whatever comes out from that primaries. If there is an aggrieved party member, he should now go to court to challenge the action or decision of the party,
which is supposed to be
internal affairs. If you look, that judgment went ahead to state that INEC went ultra virus, went beyond its boundaries to begin to arrogate to himself powers that it has not. He has no such powers in the law. So what we are simply saying, now I know that for sure the INEC may appeal, because this same thing may likely affect the Senate president, who is also having the same running battle with INEC in his own state, in Yobe state. So I think that this is an eye opener, and this will be defining our political space and then widening the scope But I think that we should be able, and they should be able to draw a line between, the political party where their duty stops and where INEC should step in. That INEC should monitor a primaries doesn't give INEC the power to decide who emerge on the contest. That's where I want to leave
who
it.
it chooses to recognize.
That's the point.
Well, anyway, thank you very much, Otwekong. Haven't discussed that because, of course, that's one of the emerging news, and we needed to discuss it. Let us now talk about the journey to 2023. I'll play out a few scenarios before we talk about campaigns, because in a couple of weeks from now, we'll count down to when campaigns will begin. In my intro, I did tell the viewer that you are very much aware that political parties right now, they are constituting their campaign committee and who will be. We're even hearing, Phyllis, that people are jostling to fight